When you're young, it passes quickly, and the lessons learned teach you what a true heart and true love are really worth. Into the unknown, falling through the sky, chasing down the dream, looking in the eye of the storm. Whoa, 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 whoa. Into the unknown, facing all your fear, everything you want is in the eye of the storm.
Hello everybody, welcome to a very special Rabble Extra here on the Rangers Rabble. I'm Martin and I'm joined by the usual Lieutenant Robert. Robert, how are you?
Oh, smashing. Delighted to be involved tonight. It's a pleasure.
You always were a bad liar. You always were a bad liar. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Daniel from... Now, I've tried to pronounce this about 7 times, Daniel, and I've got it wrong, so I'm hoping you can help me out here. Skerryvore.
Yeah, that's it. Spot on. Just as it's spelled, as easy as that. It's amazing how many people get it wrong all the same, but that's it. Skerryvore.
Because I was like, it's not pronounced scary, and it sounds like scary.
Probably strange about a Scottish band and Scottish people get it wrong more than anywhere else in the world.
It's mental. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you guys?
Well, we got the second intro correct, I suppose, so that's a start.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the plug of the song. I always appreciate it.
No, and we will talk about it. Of course, we will. Firstly, for people who maybe don't know, who are Skerryvore?
So we're a Scottish band. There's 8 of us, a rather big band. I guess the hard part's describing what it sounds like. Is a bit of a fusion band. We've got several traditional musical instruments, but primarily our songwriter and singer is really influenced by sort of Americana, the Eagles, that type of music, and pop music. So it's like a fusion of pop, Americana, and folk, traditional type stuff. It's quite hard to describe exactly what it is, but it's a sort of crossover of different styles. We've been going for about 17 years now, so we're no young pups either. It's been going quite a long time, but we're very fortunate that we get to do this for a living and travel the world playing music. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster, and we're on this mad campaign now for a new album, our first one since we signed a record deal last year with Cooking Vinyl. So all's good. It's good and busy.
You kind of mentioned there about the kind of different styles. It's not just Celtic and stuff like that, innit? It's like all different types rolled into kind of one. Yeah,
we've got everyone from the band sort of had a different upbringing. You know, you'll have bands that maybe a group of guys that all got together at school or were brought up in the same area, but we're from all over. Myself and my brother from the island of Tiree out in the west coast, so we had a very traditional upbringing in terms of music. We both learned accordion and bagpipes growing up, and then you've got Alec and Fraser, with the other 2 original band members are from Livingston. They were brought up with rock music, and they were both in brass bands and things like that, so completely different. So even when the 4 of us started, it was 2 completely different styles, just in a chance meeting on the island, and that's how it started off. And then everyone that's joined the band since then sort of brought their own style and take to thing. It can make it hard at times, trying to get it all squeezed in, but it's part of the exciting part is doing fusions of different styles and trying things and see if it works both in a recording setting and a live setting.
So I was interested, sorry Martin, I'll just jump in there on the origin side, because I was interested to know a bit more about how you came together, and also the name. Where does the name generate from?
So Skerryvore is the name of a lighthouse, one of the biggest lighthouses in Europe, a very famous lighthouse, if you're into that side of things, but it's about 10 miles off the coast at Tiree, where we are from and where the band started. And basically we were already sort of jamming as a band, the 4 of us, for about a year, 18 months, and we just didn't have a clue for a name. We tried some different things, and then somebody said, why don't you call yourself after the lighthouse, because we could see it from the island, and that was it. So that's the name of it. If probably you search Skerryvore on Google, you'll find the band and the lighthouse, because the lighthouse is an absolutely incredible piece of engineering.
Now, see, if you had done your research, Robert, right, and just type Skerryvore into Google like I did, you would have known that. It's the first thing that comes up.
I've been at work all day and they blocked some websites, so I just haven't even got that, to be honest. But no, listen, it's great to hear it from the man himself. It feels more natural and more authentic.
Oh, yeah. Ever the professional, Robert, ever the professional. Now, Daniel, Wikipedia is not a good source of information if you want the correct information. But it did say that you were born in Irvine.
Yeah, no, there's no hospital in Tiree, so everyone there, you need to be born on the mainland. My mum was from Saltcoats originally, so myself and my brother were born in Irvine and then taken back to Tiree as babies and grew up there. So Tiree's got a population of about 700 people. Very small island on there. So we are very lucky. We have got an airport and a couple of hotels and a shop, but we don't have a hospital yet, so it wasn't safe to deliver babies. Babies have been delivered there, obviously, but most are on the mainland.
See, when you hear Tiree, the first thing you think of, I don't know if you've seen it, is that old An Audience with Billy Connolly. And he talks about the blue misty hills of Tiree.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's because of that. Well, there is a couple of wee hills, but it's pretty much very, very flat and exposed, which makes it's got incredible beaches. So all the time, whenever we're travelling, I show pictures of Tiree, people, they don't believe it's Scotland because it's like white sand. We've maybe got 30, 40 beaches right around the island. Just incredible beaches. So very fortunate to grow up in a beautiful place like that, but it's very exposed. So officially, I don't know what it is right now, but certainly when I was growing up, it was officially the sunniest place in the UK, because obviously there's no hills, so the clouds don't gather, but it was also the windiest place in the UK.
Just come back to kind of, you touched on, obviously you've got a new album coming out, Tempus, and you've also just released a new single from that album called Eye of the Storm. Can you talk us through that and kind of what it's about?
Yeah, well, the album was sort of recorded over some of it during the lockdown time. The sort of single You and I that we released we recorded during lockdown and managed to get on the Radio 2 playlist. And
Zoe Ball, was it?
She didn't play that one. I can't even remember which DJ picked it first, but essentially it was just after New Year and another one of the sort of lockdown New Year's, and we got an email saying our song had been selected for the Radio 2 playlist, and that led to the opportunity to sign with Cook and Vinyl, our first record deal. So it's the same label as like Fratelli's, Delamitri, other Scottish bands like that. So it's great to be working my label, and this new single's one of the ones off the album Tempus. So we had these singles that were already done, and then we're just releasing some new singles. So we just previewed it for the first time at Murrayfield on Sunday there before the Six Nations game. So it's not been played anywhere other than Murrayfield Stadium at the moment. So we're in today just polishing it before we start the tour on Friday.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to Skerryvore, but obviously the reason that you're on talking to us is because you're also a massive Rangers supporter. So coming from the tiny island of Tiree, how did you get the Rangers bug? What's your first memories? Talk us through your love of Rangers. I
think probably the reason we're Rangers fans, and the only reason we ended up in Rangers fans, I think, is our cousin from Saltcoats. On my mum's side, we were back in Saltcoats during one of the school holidays when we were young kids, and he took us to a friendly. I'm pretty sure it was Arsenal in this friendly, and that was us just hooked. He got his Rangers scarves and some stuff, and that was us, because pretty much the others, like my dad's side, are all Celtic fans. So I'm pretty sure we would have been Celtic fans if it wasn't for John, and we just saw him there about a week ago for the first time in decades, and we had to shake his hand for saving us all those years ago. You know?
God bless John.
I know, but to be honest, there's also a huge connection. You guys are probably well aware of this. Of the founders of Rangers Football Club in Argyll. A lot of the founders were actually from Argyll, and I was speaking to somebody recently, they reckoned they were Gaelic speakers as well, one or two of them. So there's a huge connection in Argyll, and the majority of folk on Tiree are Rangers fans. Obviously, we've not got a football club on Tiree or Argyll on the regional local sides, but there's a lot of Rangers fans there. But it's quite different up the west coast. So if you go up to Barra, the next island, that's all Celtic, predominantly Celtic. South Uist is predominantly Celtic. North Uist predominantly Rangers. Lewis is predominantly Rangers. So it can be quite different. In the early days, it was interesting moving through the islands. You would meet obviously different people on each sides of the divide. So it was some good laughs over that.
Just you touch on obviously that friendly with Arsenal. Who was the team? What was the team when you were sort of growing up and getting into it?
Obviously, I was at my age. I was very fortunate to come through the 9 in a row times. which made it absolutely amazing. You know, absolutely incredible times watching that, and incredible players. So I was Gaza daft, absolutely mad about Gaza when he signed. Gordon Jury probably before that was my favourite player, I think. There's so many. I mean, you could pick anyone from that 9-in-a-row side. There's so many legends involved in that. And then probably the first period of me having more than season ticket, because I managed to get a season ticket when I was still on Tiree, and I would fly out from Tiree because it's only like a 45-minute flight. So save up all my money, try and do as many games. And at that point, it was Advocate had come in, and obviously that was an incredible side. I still think to this day it's arguably better than the 9-in-a-row side in terms of the ability that was in that team and what we should have done in the Champions League. And I still don't know to this day how we didn't get out the group stage with that squad of players. But that was incredible as well at that point to see and go and watch those players. I was actually playing in a tournament in Belgium. I'm trying to remember what age I'd have been at this, about 16 or 17, I think. And we were playing FC Utrecht. And the boys were playing against, we're just going on about this guy, Michael Moles. And at this point, we'd agreed, I think, a pre-contract agreement with Michael Moles. And no one really knew who he was. Obviously, the Dutch boys knew who he was, but no one in Scotland really knew who he was. And these kids would not show up with Michael Moles as if it's God. And I'm like, all right, okay. And then I was there the first, I think it was the Motherwell game. Was it Motherwell? And he just tore them apart. And I was like, aye, that's exactly why they were so excited about it, you know. So incredible to see him up close as well. On there, so I mixed between the 9-in-a-row times, certainly when I was younger, but I do think that Advocate team was absolutely incredible as well, with Reina and Gio and Barry and Alberts and all that as well. It was an amazing side.
Now, see, everybody always says Gaza or Laudrup or McCoist or Gorham. For me, it was Davy Robertson, and I don't know why. Yeah. He was just my absolute hero back then. Because I'm slightly younger than you, although I look about 40 years older. I'm slightly younger than you. I'm 89. I know you're 82.
Yeah.
So I'm slightly younger. But no, David, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I ended up a left back. But I
was like that with Jury and all that as well. The other random one I had in a shirt was Perini. I loved Perini. I just absolutely loved him.
He had some pedigree for Juventus, playing with like the Del Piero and stuff. So he was a great player.
Yeah, I just like these no nonsense attitude and stuff like that. Some random ones like that. But, no, good times. It seems a lifetime ago now, but amazing times growing up and seeing some of the talent we had then. You know, and when you think back about it, particularly getting the likes of Laudrup and Gaza, if you had to put that into today's market. You know, it's like we're pretty much talking about some of the best players in the world, and we're able to get them, and that seems a million miles away now to be able to compete at all. You know,
you couldn't pick those players up now. It would be impossible to pick those players up now. Actually, just jumping back quickly. Obviously, with the band, you're touring, you're all over, you're everywhere. You were telling us, you know, before we started, you've been to Vegas and stuff like that. And how much time do you get now to watch the football, watch Rangers? Is it difficult now?
It's difficult to get to games. You know, here I was at the cup final, unfortunately, but I was at I took my son to the Dortmund game last year. It was his first game at Ibrox, and that was absolutely incredible. Obviously, that whole run at home, it was amazing. So whenever I can, certainly try and take my son along now. He's absolutely football daft, Rangers daft as well. But the best we can do is when we're on the road, we'll get up at any hours. The boys, some of the boys think we're mad when we'll get up at 5 a.m. to watch Rangers in the USA and things like that. You know, I think I'm mad sometimes myself when it doesn't go the way I hope. But it is good. There's something nice about getting up in the morning and watching the football over there and following and stuff. So no, but we'll always be right on top of it and see as many minutes of it as we can. It's very rarely we miss a game anyway.
You brought it up, so I'll mention it. It's been and gone, and we move on and stuff like that. But the cup final, for you personally, what went wrong? Because I think we know. I think we do reactions after every game and stuff. So we've had our say, but what do you think went wrong?
We lost the midfield again, and I think everybody knows that. I think the manager knows that, the team know that. But you know something, looking back on it, we were at Ibrox in the morning before the game. And I said something and I never sort of registered until after it. I said, I'll be able to deal with any result as long as we turn up.
Mm-hmm.
And see, after it going back, the fact that I was even thinking that is hugely disappointing, but it sort of highlights the concerns we've got around particular players. Because like every one of these players has shown over the last few while, they've got the ability to step up and perform at times way beyond probably what their ability level is. Last year was sort of superhuman stuff at times, but there's still always this fear that sometimes they'll just choke. And even some of them have been 3, 4, 5 seasons, and you would think by that point those sort of chokes would have gone, or that chance of that happening would have gone, because they want to understand the expectation of the pressure in the clubs. But I think my feeling is, if it doesn't happen, but it does look that it was going to happen, I think there'll be a change. There's been a cycle of a group of players, and I think we'll probably see in the summer that'll move out, and they can't say they've not had the opportunity to win more. And I think everyone will always be, usually the same as this. Everyone will always be thankful for that run in Europe, the stuff that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. But when they look back on it, there'll be boys there that will be regretting hugely that they've not got more silverware to show for their 3, 4, 5 seasons they've been at Rangers there. So yeah, it was a real tough one to take, I tell you, and it's as low as I've been about a game.
I'm just on you touched on the fear for some of the players, and I would sort of liken that to, I think there's a fear maybe amongst the board and certain elements of the support about this sort of turnover of players that you've mentioned there, getting into next season and maybe trying to eradicate the change in mentality. Where do you see sort of the key area of the squad in terms of building forward? Who do we keep? Who do we not keep? Without getting into too much detail, but where do you see sort of key areas of opportunity?
I think we're already seeing that there's been a sort of switch in midfield even since the cup final. They obviously switched back to a midfield that guys that had played well in games, but we've seen that, and I think the difference in terms of energy and intensity is key in there. I think we have to see a new number 9, as much as Big Tony's come into a game a wee bit since he's returned to fitness. I still think we need somebody else that's got pace and power up there, that's going to be the Morelos type level of 2018, 2019. That's got the ability to power down the channels and hold the ball up and things as well. So I can't see Alfie staying. I think that's looking less likely. And I've been for one that I don't think he should have been here anyway. I think his levels have been so far off it in the last 2-3 seasons anyway. So I think that's a massive position for us going forward, because really playing for Rangers and playing in the SPL, a main striker should be a 25-30 goal a season striker. I don't know, you guys will know better than me exactly who's done that last for us, but it should be every season for me, and with the amount of chances we create and stuff. And obviously Big Tony looked as if he would maybe do that, but he's definitely more of a finisher than than an all-round forward. But given his due, he has looked good those last couple of games. I thought he had a big improvement in terms of the link-up stuff as well. So I think we'll see another midfielder, and I think I'll be surprised if there's not another forward as well. And,
Martin's like Cholak to Chris Boyd. He says he can go on and do Chris Boyd type things if we put.
No, hold on. Don't just throw that in there, right? Because
I wouldn't disagree with that too much. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Try to throw me under the bus without giving context. The context I said, Daniel, was that if we play to Cholak's strengths, if we give him the ball in the correct areas, then he could go on to, if he played as many games as, be more prolific than Chris Boyd. That was the point I was making.
No, I agree with that 100% in terms of he's an unbelievable finisher. We've seen that in terms of his chances. I just think sometimes we don't play to his strengths, and he can seem quite isolated, and he can maybe look very, what's the word? Immobile at times, because he's not the quickest and stuff, but inside the box, you can see his movement and his finish and stuff's absolutely tremendous. So I'll be interested to see how the manager uses him going forward. I'm quite interested to see how he does that. And obviously the last couple of games, it looks like they're playing more like two forwards. And I think that's made a big difference as well to Cholak playing there. So
I think, sort of looking at it, the best way to get something out of Cholak is these relationships he's going to build with the players behind him. Yeah. So you see maybe Sakala and him sort of link up the last couple of games and looking quite decent. Yeah. I'd like to see Cantwell get involved a little bit more with him, because I think Cantwell sort of fed Timo Pukki, a similar kind of penalty box player, well for a couple of seasons at Norwich. So I think be interesting to see between now and the end of the season how these relationships form with the forward-thinking players, to see how that's going to then transition into next year.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's still question marks over Ryan Kent. I don't know what you think. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? And then obviously who we bring in and build on, because Sakala's not a fan's favourite. He sort of splits opinion, doesn't he, as well? So you're looking at starters for next year, and in those two wide positions in particular, and possibly, as you say, up front, there's just so much up for grabs.
There really is. I mean, I think Cantwell's got huge potential. I mean, you're talking about the player that burst on the Premier League there a couple of seasons ago. We can get in back to that level. I mean, what a find that is.
Massive.
I would like to see Kent stay as frustrating as he can be at times. There's still an asset there, I think, in terms of there's definitely the fact that Michael Beale gets the best out of him. But he's a big game player. I think that's the one thing about him. You know, when we play these European games and play against Celtic, he seems to bring out the best of him. It's the games when we're playing against the low block, you're trying to get the best out of him. It's hard, but we keep saying every year he needs to improve his numbers, and it's never quite burst through yet. But he's out of the ones that are coming out of contract. He's definitely the one I would like to see stay. It's more the fear of trying to replace that. Could be very, very difficult or very expensive, you know. So,
well, one way I suppose not replace that's not fair, but one way we could look to try and help the squad is obviously through the youth. Now, before I come to the youth, obviously I say obviously, but before you know the band kicked off and you started doing your music, you were a coach, and in fact I'll let you explain it because you'll be able to explain it a lot better than me.
Yeah. So basically, prior to doing music for a full-time job, I was the only one in the band that didn't do music in terms of studying. I went and did sport at university, and when I was at University of Strathclyde, Rangers sent one of the coaches that was in there involved the youth department come in, and they basically offered us to go along and have trials at Murray Park, as it was called at that time. So a whole load of us went over, and I managed to successfully trial to join. Craig Mulholland was in charge at that point, the Rangers Community Football and Youth Department. So I had 4 years, which as a Rangers supporter, getting the chance to work for Rangers was just absolutely incredible. You know, I'll always remember getting that phone call saying that I'd got the job and got in there. So I had an amazing time, amazing 4 years. And like the coaches I worked along with, some of them were like Robert Pritz and Andy Kennedy and Billy, you know, there's so many guys there that, you know, that had been pro players, and you're getting to sort of lean off their experience. But there's also amazing coaches that weren't past pro players and everyone else as well. So it was great, and you could see even then, you know, Craig was destined to climb the ladder at Rangers. He was really ambitious. What he did with the community and youth programme, and then obviously he's kept on moving up to the head of the academy now and everyone else as well. So it's great. There's quite a lot of guys I work with are still in there, Greg Stott and Boydie and all that. They're all in there still working away. So I've bumped into Craig a few times and some of the youth teams at the airport when we've been travelling and things. But yeah, it was an amazing time to get the opportunity to work for the club, and we did get the chance. One of the best bits is we get the chance to play at Ibrox every year. So sometimes we play the Celtic coaches, sometimes we play the SFA coaches and stuff like that as well. So I managed to get the dream in one way or another of playing at Ibrox. So it was nice.
Do you know what I love? Just when you're talking about Rangers, your face lights up as much as when you're talking about the music. It's great, mate. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if this is going to be a visual, but that's a real nice touch. Like you're really enthusiastic about the club, and that's brilliant, man.
No, it's great. Bottom line, we're, you know, massive football fans. The dream was to play football professionally, and that didn't work out. So the next best thing is, you know, being able to work in the game in some capacity. So it was a hard decision to stop, but it was my own decision on the basis of I was struggling to be able to commit to it was either 8 or 12 week blocks, and it was unfair on the kids because I was starting to travel and go away, and I was having to get other coaches, and they're having to see different faces turning up every week, and I didn't want it to get to the point where, you know, Craig or Greg had to come and say to me, look, you need to stop because you're not there enough. I sort of made the choice myself on that and stepped away, but it wasn't an easy choice, you know, having to pick between essentially music and sport. But at that point, I just felt the band was the thing that was going to have the most opportunity in terms of progression at that point. So a hard decision, but hopefully the right decision going forward.
Well, obviously you've got a wee bit of kind of experience in this, regardless of the kind of age groups when it comes to youth and stuff. You'll hear it. Everybody hears it. A lot of the supporters, most of the supporters, we don't bring through enough youth. There's not enough youth players coming through, and we don't give enough chances to people. From your experience and obviously working at Rangers, just for a young player to be able to kind of make it, even just to get onto the bench for the first team, how difficult a path do you think it is for young players to make it through an academy, whether it be Rangers, Celtic, Dundee United, and make it into a first team?
Oh, it's the chances and the odds are it's so minimal. So bottom line, the level of commitment from them and luck needs to be, top the whole way through. And I think what makes it even harder with a club like Rangers and Celtic is just the expectation. There's the expectation on particularly the first team in regards to results. It probably makes it even harder still, because managers are less likely to take a chance on youngsters that maybe need some game time to bed in. Obviously, we saw earlier on Leon King got an extended run when Gio was there, and probably wouldn't have got that run if it wasn't for the injuries that were there. But that run will be incredible for his development going forward. As tough as it was at times, an absolutely incredible level of experience playing at that level, and that's probably the thing. I don't think anyone would disagree. If we had a fully fit Connor Goldson and Ben Davies, he probably wouldn't have played those games. And again, we then got a top talent that's maybe not getting first team experience. So I can't see how that's going to change, especially when there's the expectation on the club, unless there's a rule change where every club has to play a certain number of youngsters in games. For me,
the free foreigner rule.
yeah, and it wasn't that long ago something like that existed. So it's very, very hard. I mean, when I was there, the absolute diamond that we had was John Fleck. Now, and I'll always remember this because I was in doing a session and I finished it, and there was just a mass buzz, and a couple of other boys, the coaches, said, "Look, you need to come out and watch this under-18s game." And here's John Fleck. He was 13 at the time, playing in the under-18s. I mean, he was built like Wayne Rooney. The neck was solid, all that, and everything else. He's playing under, and he's just tearing it up, and like the excitement amongst us, even behind the scenes. And I was telling everyone, I said, we've got a worldie here if he keeps going. And his attitude was incredible. He was in hours before everybody else. He'd come straight from school and he'd go there, even though it was 2 hours until he was supposed to be in. He would be in by himself working and stuff. And inside Murray Park, I don't know if they still got it as well, but in there they used to have like all these targets and inside in the wall. And he's just sitting pinging this ball 56 yards into these targets, and we're watching this, all it is, jaws dropping all that. And I was so sure he was just going to be a Rangers legend, and even just see with him, it didn't work. He still went on to a great career, but not, I don't think any Rangers fan hoped when they heard he was coming through and the level he was playing at when he was younger. So it just shows you how hard it is. But I don't think we've done as bad as people make out when you go back down the line of years and see the players we brought through, and some that have been sold on: Nathan Patterson, Alan Hutton, Charlie Adam had an amazing career in the Premier League and stuff. There's actually a lot more than you think when there's so few chances, I think, at first team level. Danny Wilson been another good one as well, but got a big move. So I actually don't think we've done as bad as sometimes it gets perceived. Do
you not think a lot of people will look at the likes of, and it's an extreme example, right? But people look at like Barcelona, who bring through 7 or 8 youth players. You've got Manchester United, albeit 1992, but they bring through a raft. I think it's just that we look at leagues abroad in Holland and Spain and Portugal, and there's always at least 7 or 8 young players. At least 2 or 3 of them have came through the youth academies, and that's not just something that doesn't seem to happen in Scotland.
Yeah,
I think that comes back to what Daniel was talking about, a fear. It's because it's not just Rangers or Celtic. I saw an article, I think it was earlier last week, about other clubs that are not bringing through young players either. So I think it's a cultural thing in our country. I think if you had maybe a bit of success with it, then you might see it change. But I think a great shout for Daniel is a rule change. Why not? Because nothing helping it at the minute.
Yeah, and there's obviously been a lot of chat this week as well since the weekend, since the cup games, about the golf in the league. 3rd place Hearts Celtic just rolling them over as easily as they did, and people being alarmed. And looking at the results of this season, it is hugely alarming, the gulf between the Old Firm. And something like that would give it a bit more uneven playing field, in the sense of going, every team had to play 3 under-23s or 3 under-21s that have come through their own academy. Straight away, that's evening up for everybody on there. It would make people a hell of a lot more selective about the players that they did sign in terms of foreigners, or particularly the clubs outside the Old Firm picking up players from England. It would make them far more selective if they had a limit on them that they had to pick as well. So I'm just, because I'm really passionate about young Scottish players getting opportunities, I would love to see a rule change like that. I think it's going to happen, probably highly unlikely, because the clubs won't agree to it, but I would like to see something like that.
I'm sold. You've sold me, Daniel. That's what
He's a great person to follow on this. I was at university with Brian Ferguson, that used to be the Stenhousemuir manager. He's Stenhousemuir assistant manager just now to Gary Naismith. But I was at uni with him. He works for Sport Scotland as well, and he's done a lot of studies on other countries around the number of homegrown players that are given opportunities, and it is not good reading for Scotland.
No, it's not.
Yeah, particularly when you see even countries like Uruguay and things like that have got similar, and even what makes it more reading is the countries with similar population to Scotland, and what they've done in terms of number of homegrown players playing in their top league, and the number of young players given opportunity. And it's, when you see what they've done in terms of international sense and moves that have happened and what clubs generated, it doesn't make good reading for Scotland. And you see the amount of guys that have, amount of clubs that are maybe playing players that are either coming up from England as freebies, or just guys that have been around the mill, and they feel that a safer bet than taking a chance on kids, So
I think if you actually look at it as well, the one thing that amazed me, the Scotland squad that's just been announced, there is only 2 players that play in Scotland that are in that Scotland squad. One Rangers, one Celtic. I think Ryan Jack, Callum McGregor.
Yeah.
When was the last time we seen a Scotland squad where there was only 2 players from the Scottish League in the Scotland squad?
I know, it's pretty damn that, isn't it, when you see that. There is a thing, and this part of it is exciting. There are a lot of young Scots being snapped up by top clubs. I think we've got a couple of Bayern Munich, we've got a few at Man City. That is exciting on the basis of some of these clubs have got a really strong track record of developing players, but it's just sad that they're having to go elsewhere, to make that dream happen. And if it ever came to the point that my boy had the chance to go abroad, you would be hard to convince him not, as much as you wouldn't want him to live abroad or be away. You would be hard to convince him that it wasn't the right choice, particularly even when you see the likes of what Aaron Hickey, what he managed to do. You obviously get Lewis Ferguson, the young boy Doig that went to Italy as well, and their careers are kicking on. So it is concerning. For me, I'm like, something has to change in Scottish, and in the league, the system is set up and the approach. But from a Rangers perspective, just what I was saying earlier on, I do think we've actually done okay in terms of some top players that we've managed to bring through, and at points obviously made good money as well for the club, which is always great on the academy side of things. From them showing the work that Craig and all the team have been doing in there over the last 10. Well, Craig will be nearly 20 years, when I leave. He'll be nearly 15 years.
He's been there a long, long time. He's a really nice guy as well, because we cover the B team. We do a lot of press stuff for the B team, and he's always there. He never misses a game. Yeah. He's always there. Don't ask him a silly question. That's all I'll say. Don't ask him a silly question. But yeah, it's worrying for me, because my little brother, he's 17 and he plays for Dundee United Reserves. And you're looking at the pathway through, and it's just absolutely terrifying. Okay, we'll park the football chat there. I was looking at your schedule, and yourselves, you've got a busy March coming up with your UK shows. Yeah, we're out in 6 shows in Scotland first to sort of test out a lot of the new material. So we're in the studio today. So some of it we recorded ages ago when we did the album, because the turnaround time for vinyl right now is huge. So we're having to refresh the brains a wee bit of that. We're going to do 6 shows in Scotland to kick off the album tour, and then we head stateside on the 29th for a month, and then we come back and go to Ibiza, and then I can't even remember after. I think it's England after that for a run of shows, and then we're into the summer festivals and things as well. So it's going to be a busy year of travels again, but
it's nice, man. Can't complain, especially we had a few years I've been stuck at home with no gigs, so it's great to be
I was just about to get the violin out there. I really was.
Yeah.
How do you? You've also mentioned there a young family and stuff. I mean, how does it all sort of come together? Do you nip back home for a couple of days? Obviously, how do you sort of balance it?
Yeah, where we get obviously with America, you can't do that. Once you're over, you're sort of over until the tour's done. But certainly the Scottish shows, we'll get home as many nights as we can. Not this weekend because we're up in Orkney and Elgin and South Peffer, so we're too far away. But the weekend after that, we'll all go home. It's obviously I've got a few guys in the band who are at that age where we've all got young kids, and that can be tricky at times. I'm very fortunate this year. I've been here for both my kids' birthdays and that. My wee girl's 6 tomorrow, but sometimes we're away. March is generally when we're out stateside, so you miss things like that. You miss birthdays, you miss family weddings and things. But it's I guess that's the downside, and people have that. Maybe they work in the military or they work offshore and things like that. They'll have the same challenges. The one thing we've got full control of is we never work Christmas, so we always know we've got that off, man. So that's the bonus side of that. But I think there's plenty of other people in professions that are a lot tougher than ours that have to miss stuff. So it's just a sort of acceptance of something that comes with the job,
In terms of your, sorry, Robert, in terms of your UK shows, you just calm down, right? Just settle down. In terms of your UK shows, where would people go to try and get tickets if they still can?
Skerryvore.com. Friday sold out, but there's still a few tickets for Saturday and Sunday. If you want to come all the way to Orkney, if you're not from Orkney listening, Orkney's probably.
If you want to pay my travel, I'll come. And you want to phone my work and tell my boss I'm there.
And then where are we the following week? There's a wee bit left for Dunoon, I think, but Kilmarnock sold out.
Well, you're in Perth on the 25th. I'll keep you right, Daniel. You're on Perth on the 25th.
You keep me right. And I think there's a wee bit left for that. So it's good. It's all pretty close to sell out, which is amazing. But there is still some tickets for a few of the shows in Scotland. And then we've got Scottish dates. We always finish the year in Scotland and around Christmas. So we've got Edinburgh and Aberdeen as well down in December, and Darvel's a few in December as well for Scotland for anyone that misses out this month. But you guys will have listeners all over. I'm sure there's Rangers fans all over the world. That's one thing we've been sure about, So.
I couldn't believe it. When we started this, about 3 people watched, right? And then it kind of started to grow. And then I was looking at it, Indonesia, Australia,
love that.
New Zealand. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
And now stateside, because when Daniel goes away, he'll obviously be listening to the podcast. So stateside in there as well.
I tell you, there's a lot of Rangers fans in America. That's the times we were and we're chatting. Obviously, before it started, we're always in the hunt for Rangers supporters clubs in America. So we've done Vegas. We've done was it Big Apple Bears?
New York.
We found a couple of ones that are not official supporters clubs, but it's amazing when you even just go in the forums, you'll find folk saying where you should go and watch games. Remember, we went and watched an Old Firm in Pittsburgh at 6 a.m. one time as well. I just find a group of Rangers fans there. So we're always in the hunt to go and watch the games in different places. It's good. So it's I'll tell you something. We've been going stateside about maybe about 12 years now. It's incredible how much the game has grown over there. See, when we went over at first, you would struggle to see anything in terms of football on the telly. See now, like you wake up in the morning, you'll get every EPL game.
Mm-hmm.
And watch breakfast and flick through them, and everyone wants to ask who's your EPL team, which I think again our league's missing a trick big time, man. Our Rangers and Celtic are huge clubs. There should be far more coverage of them stateside. I'd love to see that because there's loads of Rangers and Celtic fans stateside. So again, I just think, and we could go into a whole other conversation.
We could.
All that, it's to me, it's just scandalous, man.
Listen, we could go into another hour and a half about the TV deal and about the people who run the game and stuff like that. But I did tell you I would try and keep it to 20-25 minutes.
All right, man, you'll need to chase me off. So.
No, but listen, you talked about how football's growing over in America and stuff like that. The MLS and stuff like that. And there is so much more promotion that could be done in Scotland over there. But in terms of the Celtic music, obviously it's massive in Scotland, of course. But what's it like over in the States and stuff like that?
Oh, it's great. I mean, obviously there's a huge, the stats of people that have got heritage to Scotland, it's just millions and millions over there. So there's loads of folk really interested in their heritage and stuff. So that's always a really good sort of connector point for us, and people are always interested to hear international bands. But it's amazing. We do a lot of shows that are just like open music concert series. So America's amazing for like community funding for putting stuff on, free concerts and stuff for communities. It's incredible, the level of support. They've got loads of amphitheatres and things. So that's probably some of our favourite gigs to do, because people don't really know what they're coming to see. Mm-hmm. And it's not like here where you buy a ticket and you know exactly what you're going to see. Just the community will have a programme, and we, through our agency, we'll get signed up to come and do this, and you've got the shock factor then. So they don't really know what's coming, and then outcome, and we've got obviously the traditional instruments, but then like essentially a pop singer and a rock band type thing. So that's always my favourite type of gig, in the sense of you get the shock factor of that and seeing people's faces to the action. It's hard. I need to slow down how I speak out there, particularly. You always do, because they really seem to struggle with that. But no, it's a great place to tour in the USA. We've been doing it for over a decade now. It's probably the place we go the most. So a lot of good times over there, and it's a good three tours this year, I think, 3 or 4 tours again this year.
Just rub it in. Just keep rubbing it in. And this is just a kind of selfish question. My stepson, he's massive into his music, right? He's the kind of guy who'll come down the stair and go, see that song? I can tell you the year it was out, the street that they filmed it in, and all that sort of stuff. So in terms of the accordion, which is obviously what you play, is that more difficult to play than it looks, because it looks extremely difficult?
I'll say yes. Probably the other guys would say no. It's obviously like a piano on its side, and it's more the doing all three things. So you've got buttons on the left hand side, piano on the right hand side, and then the bells. You need to do all three at the same time. So it's a bit like rubbing your tummy, pat your head type affair. It takes a wee while to click in, but then once it clicks in, it's all right. But as I said earlier on, we were very fortunate that we got raised in Tiree, and I got free tuition. All of us did. And my tutor's still teaching folk. He's in his 80s, and he's still teaching kids in Tiree. Just incredible number of kids he's taught for free over the years. So very, very lucky to that. And we had bagpipe tuition for free as well growing up. So very, very fortunate on that. And it's something we try to give back. We set up a music festival in Tiree 10 years ago, and to try and keep the culture and music legacy continuing up there, because for such a small island, it's amazing the number of professional musicians it's produced and over the years as well. So
why do you think that is? Sorry to cut in, Daniel. Why do you think that is then? Because, for example, the school I went to, our music class was simply 30 of us in a classroom. That's the guitar, that's the drums, do your best. Do you think there's more focus? Think there's like maybe the class sizes are smaller, there's just more of a focus on music?
I think the smaller class size definitely makes a difference. I think the opportunity to play, for some kids, they don't have the opportunity to learn or play instruments, which is, I think, is tragic. I think everyone should at least have the chance to try something when they're growing up. But it's a bit like in the same sense of putting it in a football context. If a player in academy sees a player a few years ahead of them doing well, it's inspiration to them. If they see them becoming pro, they see them what they did, and that was. If you go down and see all the musicians that would come out of Tiree, there was Angus MacPhail from the band Skipnish that was 3 years older than me. Older than him was Campbell Brown, Gunna Sound, who's a professional career as a musician, and they all inspired each other. You know what I mean? And then there's guys younger. My brother's 3 younger than me, and then there's Ian Smith from Trail West, it's 3 years younger than him. And it's that way of you see somebody and you see what they managed to achieve, and that gives you that extra motivation. But there's also a pathway that you can go and follow and learn from them and ask for experience and stuff as well. So a number of factors, but I would always come back to the thing of being given the opportunity to learn and learn for free. That's an absolutely incredible opportunity for any child to be able to have the chance to play music.
Daniel, I like to ask the hard-hitting question in the podcast. So I want to know, can you play follow on this accordion or not?
I don't get to do it many gigs, obviously. Don't get to do it many gigs, but no,
Don't ask about any other songs, Robert. Follow
that's
is the limit.
it. That's it. Aye, that's it.
That's us.
You could probably play it in America, I suppose. They wouldn't know any different, I suppose.
Oh, you just
Where's
never
the fun
know.
in that, Martin? Where's the fun in that?
You never know.
So, listen, Daniel, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Skerryvore's new album, Tempus, is out on April the 28th. Is that available for pre-order?
Yeah.
Will it be coming out pre-order? Give us the details.
It's all available pre-order just now, so there's loads of different bundles and special edition stuff and all that and everything else. There's loads of it. We've got in stores and HMV on the week of the release as well. So we're in Glasgow and Inverness, Livingston and Ayr for the HMV in stores, which is limited edition. So if you pre-order via that, you come into the in-store meet and greet and stuff as well. So lots of stuff happening. We'll maybe even manage to get another single out before the April release date as well. So it's all go. But I appreciate the plug, guys, and the chance to come on and chat. It's been a pleasure.
No, anytime, mate. You've been absolutely brand new. It's been a pleasure to talk to you as well. Thank you.
You actually know more about football than all of us. So there you go. That says it all. Daniel, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
When you're young, it passes quickly, and the lessons learned teach you what a true heart and true love are really worth. Into the unknown, falling